We're really excited to be joined by Mike Dunlap from RoofTech. We'll be learning about the RoofTech overall, of course, and the Alpha Seal technology that they offer. Go ahead and learn a little bit more about us. If you're interested in working with us, you can also go to our web store and choose the register link to get an account set up, and somebody from our customer service team will be in touch shortly. All right. So without further ado, Mike, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it. And as always, we appreciate supporting our partnership with BayWa and having us on here. It's awesome. So special shout out to Aaron and Carly for helping us set this up. All right, first up, little introduction about myself. I'm Mike Dunlap, General Manager for RoofTech, but I actually started with the company in 2016 as the regional sales rep for the Midwestern region, and then worked my way up to sales director and now general manager. And before that, most of my experience and career has all been based in the construction field, anywhere between building homes all the way up to doing a lot of roofing, traveling around the country and doing roofing all over the country, actually. So I pride myself in my past experience, and I try to relate that field expertise to what we do here at RoofTech, which is all about connections to the roof. All right, so some of you may know me already, but what you may not know is RoofTech's history. And RoofTech's history is actually, we came to the United States in 2012, but we're certainly a much older company than that. Our parent company, Yanagiken, out of Aichi, Japan, originally incorporated in 1968. And what's really cool about our company that I don't think a lot of people know is that we actually started off in Yanagiken as actually roofing installers, roofing contractors in 1968 as a family-owned company, and then later transitioned into the 70s as a roofing manufacturer, getting into fasteners, roofing materials, et cetera, et cetera. And then about 1990s, early 90s, there was a big push in Japan to go solar. They were trying to reach that 1 million roofs, just like California, but they were doing theirs in the mid 90s. So in 1994, we actually got started in making solar specific on the top flashings for solar, for rooftops all over Japan. And later that occurred into the 90s as we had over 70% market share, working with some of the biggest names out in Japan, Panasonic, Longi, et cetera, to be overall 7 out of 10 installs in Japan are actually RoofTech products. So it's pretty substantial. So what we did was we took all that greatness and success and brought it to the United States in 2012 and slowly started to bring our technology here to the US. So just a much deeper background. Also part of our background is heavily testing. So as you know, everyone may or may not know, a lot of times when it comes to testing in the racking industry, we're always currently pushing beyond what's already acceptable. Like there's a lot of testing set up for joist hangers and wood fasteners, et cetera, but not too many tests solar specific or even like hydrostatic pressure tests for solar rooftops. So we actually at Yanagiken, we have our own testing facility, our own testing laboratories. And here's a few of those machines. Actually, the lower left one was a custom pull-out machine that we had to make in the 2000s because it didn't really exist at the time to test our components. So we're always pushing those boundaries, always coming up with new testing protocols and new ways to test solar specific applications. And then once we complete that, we take that to the United States to actually redo the testings to get all of our certifications, which we will talk about later. So on top of actually doing the laboratory testings, we also have outdoor facility tests that have been up since the 90s, which is extremely awesome that we're able to collect all that data. Now, some of those cases we have re-roofed and reapplied products such as what you see here in the middle, which was our second generation railless that came out in 2015 or so in the United States. That has been up there since 2015 and still up there today. And on the lower right side, you see some of our previous components that have actually been around for much longer. But we don't just do this in one location. We test in the mountains, which has 4 to 5 foot snow dumps, at least annually, and then also on the sea coast, and all of them are full sunlight. So we do salt spray, high winds, also high snow loads, and also direct sun the entire time. Now, on top of that, we also do carbon arc testing to do full UV sprays that simulates over a year of constant water and constant UV rays. So I am proudly able to say that you won't find another company that has as much testing history as also field related experience and field installs as RoofTech does since 1994. So just to go over some of those certifications here, we carry about a dozen certifications for our products, but there's only a couple that I'm going to point out as notably. Most of our competitors, most of the other racking industry, most of the other racking manufacturers do have similar tests. Not all these 12, but they do have a couple, like the TSA 100, great certification to get. Also ASTM 1970s for sealabilities, as well as the HVAC is probably one of the hardest tests that we actually go through. But there's one more test that I'll show you guys later that we actually do a water static pressure test where our mounts are underwater for a certain amount of time or days. And that actually comes with an ASTM certification. That one specifically is the 2140, which is primarily meant for metal roofing, but we actually adapted that test to show composition shingles. We had to seal the shingles up and put it up five inches of water for 6 hours. Pretty impressive testing. Of course, we passed with flying colors and are proud to carry all of these 12 certifications. Now, a certification that you may not see every manufacturer carry is actually our ICC certification. This is the ESR 3575, directly relating to flexible flashing. This is a certification we had to go seek out specifically and adapt to our product. But what's really cool about this particular certification is it certifies all of our products to be used on high and low slope for asphalt, rolled or architectural shingle, metal, EPDM, TPO, SBS. You won't find another company that has an ICC certification of just one type of their flashing that handles all of those, high and low slope, metal, asphalt, EPDM, TPO, SBS, and other types of membranes. So it's a really cool certification that we're very proud to have. It's very expensive and lengthy, and also even goes to the point to where every single facility that we put up that manufactures our Alpha Seal, as well as any type of manufacturing for our extrusions, physically has to be checked by ICC, a third-party inspection on an annual basis, to go in and physically look at our facilities and making sure that the quality that we originally presented to them is still being maintained. So it's a very, very intense process for the ICC. That's why you don't see a lot of people have it, but RoofTech is able to comply and is certified through the ICC for our flashings. Okay, and the final step on certification here is that we also do carry a letter of compatibility from Owens Corning. That is a question that when people are new to the top-down flashings, that they want to know. They want to know that by using this top-down flashing, this Alpha Seal technology, are we actually going to be voiding any warranties of roofing manufacturers? And the answer is no. This letter is specifically from Owens Corning, but there's no evidence from all of our field data, and obviously we do a lot of mounting here in the US on a daily basis, that indicates that we have any type of warranty issues with any manufacturers out there. The only warranties I believe that are going to be an issue, which you guys would need to double check, are the membrane roofs. The manufacturer warranty for a membrane roof is not something that they very easily allow you to go above and beyond or use a different type of product other than what is supplied by the manufacturer. So that's the only type of warranty that you would need to be concerned about, are manufacturer warranties for flat roofs that typically last 10, 15, or even 20 years. Okay, so let's talk about the secret sauce or the magic of our product, the Alpha Seal. The Alpha Seal we brought to the United States in 2012, but the technology of the proprietary screws and the Alpha Seal, the synthetic rubber, is been used since 1994. We tried a couple of versions in the early 90s that were tested and quickly failed, and then decided upon the best of our choice of this Alpha Seal product and have been using it ever since without a single product failure since 1994. It's very impressive and also very helpful when talking to someone who's not familiar with our product. It's a nice way to say, hey, you're not going to be the first guy using this product. This is not a product we put out on the market last year that you guys are going to be testing for us. This is a product that's been tested across the globe since 1994. So a few things about the butylene. Short for isobutylene with isoprene copolymers, a synthetic rubber. So the Alpha Seal has a service life of over 25 years. In fact, a lot of our tests concluded 30, 35 years before any type of degradation. And the degradation mostly was just oxidizing, meaning that it changed color, but it never hardened. Which is a key factor for sealability. So 25-year plus service life, we warranty it for 25 years. Once it's installed, it's good for negative 40 degrees and up to 248 degrees before any type of elongation or any type of non-malleability At the -40 degrees, it's not like the butyl broke or cracked or anything like that. It just wasn't malleable enough for us to be comfortable to put a screw through. And we even took that a step further with the application temperature. We want to see the application temperature of any of our products be 22 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer, up to 176. Obviously, the 176 is nothing you have to worry about. But 22 degrees is real life for a lot of people. So we have ways to handle that. So at 22 degrees ambient air temperature, you can put the flashing down, screw it in, and it's good for -40. Below 22 degrees, we want to use a little bit of extra heat, either on the backside of the butyl with a cordless heat gun and a little bit on the roof. Put it down, screw it in, you're good to go. Other than that, there's no organic materials in it, so it doesn't degrade, and it's totally resistant to mildews, salts, alkalis. You can actually use the product with a direct salt spray. You can also use things like alcohol or sodium chloride to clear a roof of ice and snow and then directly put the butyl on. There are no material complications other than PVC vinyl is the only non-compatible product to be used with this particular copolymer of isobutylene and isoprene. Okay, so why do we give you guys extra butyl in our product, which we'll talk about a little later? So we supply our mini flashing or alpha-based flashing with it pre-attached on the back. Right, which we will show. Now, additionally to that, we give you extra pieces of butyl. Now, this is something that we figured out a long, long time ago when the 3-tap shingles became not so popular and the architectural or dimensional shingles became much more of a first choice. Unlevel roof surfaces, and we're putting a nice flat piece of flashing on top of it. So we give extra alpha seal pads to help build up areas to where you have concerns. Now, there are many ways to avoid this entirely by choosing a shingle course row and not moving outside of it. Also, when you're doing a decking attachment, you have quite a bit of left or right availability that you could choose to use, or you can actually modify the shingle to take off the beauty portion or the top layer of the shingle to remove that to create a flat surface. All of these are options, but when you don't have those options, we want to make sure that you have a way to handle unlevel surfaces. This picture is showing basically the worst case scenario of going over an architectural across the shingle seam. It doesn't get any worse than that and requires basically an additional 2 or 3 pieces of butyl, which we supply to you for free. So outside of the alpha seal pads, the other part of our technology that makes it unique and so successful is the fact of our lag screws are actually a double helix thread specifically designed for maximum pullout from sheathing. So if you guys don't know already yet, RoofTech does deck attachment, rafter attachments, and hybrid attachments, which is a combination of rafter, deck. Part of this has to do with our ability to have proper pullouts when it comes to OSB or plywood sheathing. And that's why we chose to use this particular screw. Now, this particular screw, double helix thread, special angles to ensure maximum pullout, is designed for a couple of reasons. Number one, it requires 0 pre-drilling and 0 pre-caulking. That is a huge time saver, and also one of the sources of the most common leak in the US is actually unflashed or not properly flashed pilot holes, which are required with the 5/16 lag bolts, not required for us. Now, part of the reason for that is the NDS code for fasteners requires that you stay 1.5 times the diameter of the screw away from the edge of the rafter or framing member. And with a 5/16 lag bolt, that only leaves you with about 30% of that middle rafter to hit. It's a very hard thing to find, but thus pilot holes, not only to secure the lag bolt itself, making sure you're not going to break the wood or crack the wood, but also to find the center of that rafter. So with our product, you see that we're using a 3/16 wood screw, and we use 2 for a rafter instead of 1. We reduce that down to, or increase that availability of that framing member to 61%. So you're talking about 7/8 of an inch that you were only be about 1/2 of an inch or 9/16 of an inch. So that's a huge thing to reduce errors and also not requiring pilot holes, which basically cuts your liability of leaks down right out the gate. Now, this is just for rafter attachment. This is entirely avoided at all if you choose to do decking attachment. But the point of this, guys, is the combination of our alpha seal and the combination of our wood screw creates the product that we have been putting on the market since 1994. Now, I'm going to pull up a video here next, which is a really great video. There's no audio here. So this is Joe Perez, our sales manager, our sales director. And this is from NABCEP earlier this year. And Joe and I had this idea about Well, we know our product's awesome, but let's put it to the test. What if we actually install this product underwater? And I know this is crazy, never going to happen in real life, but we were so confident that this was going to work that this was the first time we tried it and we got it on video. So Joe dropped the Alpha Seal base with the Apex base on top of a rolled asphalt roof on top of a plank. So the plank sheathing is actually really difficult to work with because you have splitting. So we chose this product of choosing the plank decking as like, all right, this is worst case scenario. So he's dropped in the base. We got about 1.5 inches of water and he's about ready to put in the first screw here. And when he does this, there's actually a mistake. The base you will see actually gets pulled up, which we were supposed to hold it down. This could have been the end of it for us, but it's actually really impressive. So I'm going to stop talking and let you guys just watch this.
I see it pull up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that pull up could have been the leak causing right from there, but actually the Alpha Seal carried that all the way down through the asphalt rolled roofing into the metal, into the plank itself, creating that seal, even with an air gap there. So not a single drop of water came through these screws as we were screwing them in underwater. This is extremely impressive. We were kind of doubtful that this would work, but ultimately all of the data said that it would. So this was it. We did this and we're pretty happy with the results there. And I challenge any of our competitors to try to do the same.
Yeah, you can kind of see some of the strands of the Alpha Seal being pulled through on the fourth screw that went in, I think. Second to last
that black.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll see that there. And that's always a good indicator for us to know that the screw had good contact. And when you're installing below that 22-degree mark, that's when the butyl's still malleable. We're below freezing. But that's what we're concerned about, that it's not malleable enough to allow that drag through. So you may not see that black on the screws. So yeah, super cool. Glad to share it. This video is on our website.
Yeah, and, Tracy just put a link to the YouTube in the chat, actually, if anyone wants to check it out with the audio later. Go ahead and bookmark that link and go there after the webinar.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so I promise that's it for the flashy, gimmicky stuff. The rest of it's all brass tacks. So here's the rest of our products. So right now we currently offer the mini flashing, which is designed for rail, and it's agnostic to any rail. So any rail in the market with your standard L-foot and your standard rail will work. If you'll notice, we did have a product change over the past few years. We started off with our Mini 1, our first version of the Mini that we had out since I think 2016, 2017, and then we decided in 2020, they're like, hey, you know what? We can actually make this design a little more efficient and keep all the same properties that we love. So we created the Mini 2 for slightly less cost. Excuse me. But it does the same performance. And we also paired it up with a flange bolt as opposed to a regular hex bolt, which did actually increase our values. So Mini 2 is what I recommend for everyone to use, and that's what's widely available. But we do have some Mini 1 still left over for some of our customers who are matching up old projects. But just to let everyone know, Mini 1 and Mini 2 are completely compatible and used on the same project, but they do require a different bolt. Okay, we also have the REB, which is on the bottom left, roof entry bracket. And then there we have a mid clamp of our Apex and a nice little video showing the leveling ability of an end clamp of our Apex. All right, so let's jump into the REB. So the REB is a roof entry bracket. And this product actually came from Japan directly, that we made a few modifications to fit some electrical codes within the US market. But this is a product they use on the daily. There's over 500,000 of these out in Japan. And we brought it to the United States a couple of years ago. So the only difference between this product and the rest of our products is that this one actually does have a pitch limitation. The rest of our products are good from 0 degree to 45 pre-engineered, as well as you can go beyond that with additional engineering like 50 and 60 degree pitches. But the roof entry bracket has a limitation of 312 because it actually has loopholes as part of a junction box or part of a box code requirement. So it can only be used on 312 and up, but it can be used on membrane. It can be used on metal. And that's where we see a lot of people using the product. It's the same Alpha Seal, the same screws. It's really super easy to install. You find the spot between the rafters. You pop an 1 3/4 hole, do a butyl wrap and a gasket, drop it right on. It's a 5-minute install. There's no easier penetration out there. Now, there's a couple caveats besides the 312. It also cannot be used as a junction box. So we do find two main uses for this product. Number one, any type of AC system that you convert up on the roof and you're dropping AC down into the house, no junction needed, you're good to go. Secondly, which is kind of my favorite because I think it's more common, is that when you have multiple arrays on the roof and you don't want to have a piece of silver EMT or EMC coming out from each one, you can actually dive down your conduit into the roof and bring it over and back up underneath each array. So you're completely eliminating that visual of the EMT or the conduit. So that's really awesome. And I know it doesn't apply everywhere, but I see people mainly using it for metal roofs and dropping those conduits down in between arrays. And everything comes in the box that you need, including the extra butyl and also this duct seal around the wires. We use that to just as a thermal barrier to keep out any type of moisture that accumulates or any type of insects. But all the waterproofing is done at the Alpha Seal layer. Here's the product flyer. Just has a lot of information on what type of connections you can go in there. It is a 3/4 inch entry that you could pretty much use any of your standard connections to get to. Okay, RT Mini 2. RoofTech Mini 2 here showing as a deck attachment on a architectural shingle, probably one of our most common attachments. However, we do see an increase of rafter connections lately, mainly because they're kind of faster. It requires less screws, and we do see that people are using a lot more rafter attachments now. We're probably still rocking about 60-40 on the decking versus rafter attachments. But let's get into some of the details of what the Mini does and does not do. First off, it pretty much does everything. So that's really cool. But specifically what you can do with it is you can do rafter, deck, hybrid, or something that we call offset. So hybrid, once again, is deck, rafter. There's many reasons to do that. Either, it's hard to find rafters. You don't need to do rafter to achieve higher snow loads. And it also expedites the job and clean it up a lot faster. Offset rafter is something I'll address a little bit later, but that's one of our oops proof scenarios to where like you can try to put the Mini onto the rafter, but if you don't hit the rafter, you can actually put in additional screws and it almost has the same value as a rafter attachment. And I'll explain that a little better later. As we talked about, no pilot holes, no caulking. Huge time savers right there out the gate, less tools, less time on the roof. It works with any type of rail that's on the market with any standard L-foot, including some of your snap-in products now. Like for example, Snap & Rack has an offset L-foot that you snap into, that will totally work, as well as ClickFit and a couple of other products. Lots of innovations with rails lately. We're always trying to keep up to make sure that our flashings will be compatible because we want everyone to have the opportunity to reduce their risks, reduce their liabilities, and increase their speed and safety. It's roughly around 4 to 5 times faster than your traditional metal flashing. Once again, a lot of things that we don't have to do there. You don't have to break the seal of the shingles. Everything goes on top. Works for all roofing products except for PVC, direct onto concrete, direct onto tile. We also work with composite shingles and also some metal shingles. Anything that has a major air gap above 5 millimeters between the roofing product and the sheathing is kind of a no-go. There are some metal shingles that'll be okay and other metal shingles that will not. So that one's still kind of per case basis. All right, so a little bit about what comes in the Mini box, but of course your distributors may choose to sell them individually, but we do package them in packs of 20. So you'll get 20 Minis, 40 screws, which is enough for 2 screws per Mini. So that's enough for rafter. If you wanted to do deck, you need an additional 3 screws for a total of 5 screws for a decking attachment. So 5 screws for deck, 2 screws for rafter. And we also include 4 extra Alpha Seal pads per the Mini. We do find that railless, which we'll talk about in a minute, does have more need for the Alpha Seal pads than the Mini does. So we actually give you a little bit more in that case. And then the bolts are sold separately. That's a flange bolt with that one. Remember, if you're using the Mini 1, it does have a different bolt. One thing I always like to point out, this is more part of our install training that we offer, is that the rafter attachment does require you to put the bolt in first into the channel before you put the 2 screws in, because it does lock it in. Okay, a few case studies here. Some people ask us all the time, how do you do on 12-12 pitches? How do you do in high snow loads? This is a great study of a job in Nova Scotia. We've got great market share through our partner, actually BayWa, up there, and a couple other partners as well, but great market share in Canada. They absolutely love our product. They're big on decking connections, and they got high snow loads. So this is where we put that together. Now, this project is actually on a rafter, but it is our mini product on a rafter, and then also utilizing the plywood tables to do a hybrid install, 45-pound snow load, 100-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, additional things that you can do with the mini is that, number one, we like to see everyone use the mini wherever they can. So here's something that we just came up with not that long ago about adding your traditional conduit strap, cowboy strap, saddle strap, whatever you guys want to call it. But it's a very simple install. We have self-tapping lines on the mini. I don't know if you can see those integrated in to where you can use a self-tapper, a number 10 by 5/8 in this case, to directly put that cowboy clamp on top of our mini flashing and put that anywhere on the roof. Now, when you're using this for accessory mounting, you don't have to use all the screws that we normally require. You actually just can use 2 screws for a decking attachment. So it's a minimum 2 screws. You can go beyond that, but 2 screws on top of the deck for conduit's totally fine. The next thing that I want to make sure that people are very much aware of when using this is that this is high enough off the roof over, I think 7/8 of an inch or 23 millimeters. It's actually measured about 1.25 inches off the roof. Anything below that to the roof, you have to start degrading your wires as part of the NEC code. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that you will not have to sacrifice that degrading by using our product as is, directly attached to the top. Okay, oh, here we go. So as I was mentioning about the offset option, this is a really cool thing that we did kind of post. We didn't really think about this until after we did all of our testing. We got some feedback. A couple of our installers were like, hey, what if I missed the rafter? And, it's very easy to hit us with the rafter because we have that 7/8 of an inch, but what if you don't? So here's an example of, you can see here that someone tried to hit the rafter with those 2 center screws, and they obviously missed, and they felt that they missed. So by adding the 3 additional screws, 2 into the side of the rafter, so that's the deal. If you look at the image, the rafter still has to be underneath the mini. But if you can get 2 screws in the mini offset and then add the additional deck screws, you get almost 90% of that rafter value. So that's super huge. The point that we're trying to make with all of this is that no matter how you put the mini on the roof, deck, rafter, hybrid, offset, it has value and you don't have to remove it. And in fact, if you put it down in completely the wrong spot, don't move it anyway, because you've made holes in the black paper or the synthetic paper, you've made holes in the shingle. It's not just something that you can slap caulk on and be 100% on. So you're better off to leave the product there and go over it, work around it. Okay, getting through the technicals. Remember when I said that you can use a snap and rack L-foot and connection? That's actually a snap and rack L-foot with snap and rack rail that has the offset attachment. So not traditional to what's normal. Now, this particular picture is showing that rail offset out of the mini. And that's actually not okay. We don't like to see that. So this is the image to try to have the rail on top of the mini. So if they were actually just to utilize our 2.5-inch movable channel that you can move your L-foot up and down 2.5 inches, you can actually get that channel to be, or sorry, that rail to be over the top of our mini. So very easily done. All right, moving on to metal. There is one situation to where we actually recommend that you use additional caulking. Number one, with metal, when you peel and stick and do it down, if it's not perfectly flat, you will have to do a little bit of butyl layering underneath these profiles. If you guys are familiar with the R panels, they have little valley profiles. That's fine. Put the butyl down, put the alpha seal down in between, put the mini down, self-tap with a punch to pierce the metal so that you're not spinning the screw too long, because you could centrifugal force push that butyl out. But once you get it installed, we ask that you build a cricket or a water shedding triangle on top of that mini just for buildup. This is not for water intrusion, but to help with water shedding. Because of the unique R panel that has the 2 valleys on the inside, there's a chance for damming there. Not something that's going to cause our product to leak, but not something you necessarily want on the roof metal. So there is this one case to where we want you to build that cricket either out of our alpha seal or out of additional caulking. Okay. Getting into our prize product, our most favorite product here is our railless. RoofTech has been a railless company from the beginning, and we only adapted to the rail market here in the US because that was the majority. And if we wanted to stay in business, we had to adapt to rail, thus the mini. which is doing great, and we're happy we did it, spreading our technology across all assets, all aspects of installing. But railless, we came to the United States with a Generation 1 railless that's slightly modified from our Japanese version. Size specific clamps, we use weeb clips, and no integrated bonding. So we upgraded, I believe, in 2015, 2016 to more universal clamping and integrated bonding and a higher base to allow more airflow. And then finally, in late 2019 or 2018, we came out with the RT Apex, which took everything great about railless and put it into one product. Integrated bonding, universal attachment, any pitch, same deal there. Okay, so let's talk about why railless and why railless right now. So first off, I have to say that all of your large companies in the US, your big guys, they're all doing railless. And there's a few reasons why. Number one is actually logistics. Simply just not having to store and ship rail across the country. So this is a great thing to look at if you're a multi-state contractor or a larger contractor, multi-regional contractor. I'm not saying this isn't for the small guy. I'm just saying this is even more of a reason why you should be considering it if you're at this level of play. So unfortunately, we're probably all too familiar with that picture there on the right center to where we see all the cut rail. That's one point that I always try to make out to our rail guys. It's like, listen, you're buying that rail by the foot and you're cutting it off and you can't do anything with it. The best thing you can do is recycle it and hopefully get some of that returned. One thing I can say for railless, many other things as well, but you use every single piece of what you buy. There is no cutting, there is no scrap, there is no waste. So we're really happy about that part of the product, and that goes all around pretty much to any type of railless. Anything that you have to deal with no waste is going to help your top line. So here's something else. And for those of you who've been paying attention or not, obviously you've seen the cost of aluminum skyrocket. At the time I put this slide together, it was about 50% year over year from 21 to 22. I think that's dropped down to about 42% or so right now, but either way, pretty significant. Most importantly, with Russia and China being the largest aluminum producers, we're not seeing that this is going to fix itself. We don't produce enough aluminum by ourselves, and we don't have enough allies that produce enough aluminum for us. So aluminum is still going to be a question of supply for the next few years or even longer. We use less aluminum in our products, thus not needing it and being attached to that aluminum pricing. So right now is when you see that finally railless and rail are very cost competitive on top of all of those extra advantages of going railless versus rail. One quick comment on that. One of the major reasons for the rail shortage or the aluminum shortage was actually from beer cans. Apparently in 2020, beer cans spiked quite a bit. Okay, universal clamping attachment for rails. Our product is good for any module from 30 to 40 millimeters. Best span you're gonna find out there. We UL list with over 200 modules right now. Anytime that we try to keep up on this, we always try to add that 2703 as much as possible. One and a quarter leveling ability, single tool design, integrated bonding. There's no additional things you need to tweak with our system to make it work for a 32, a 35, or whatever. You drop it in, you screw it down. It's good from 30 to 40. Just like the rest of our products, 0 to 45 all day long, pre-engineered. We have a height difference of 3 inches to 4 1/4. And very simply enough, our product can actually be used with only 3 components. You really only need the base, end clamp, and mid clamp. However, you can get a little fancier with it and utilize the splices, which really make the railless sense when you're trying to reduce your connection points. But you got to make sure your module is good for that, which we'll cover all together. So all in all, we got about 11 parts, but you really only need 3. We're also supplying the ball end bit with the product and a torque limiter to make sure that you're not exceeding your torque settings for your specific modules. I'm going to rush it a little bit. I'm running behind, but there's some important things. So wire management is the #1 question that we get for railless outside of what kind of flashing we use. This is a great image of what type of wire management is for us and how we do it. We do most of our wire management from the ground. So your ground guy, he's setting up modules, writing down, what inverters get connected to it or what optimizers, and then putting them up with a roof pre-wired. So you're just connected negative, positive, and moving on. We also have built-in wire management channels inside of our system for specific that are big enough for the specific end phase trunk cable, as well as 2 PV wires, and they can actually be attached. So wire management built in on top of doing the wire management on the ground. We help train you guys on this. It's a whole different way of doing wire management. So we support you there. This is a video you saw before about our leveling ability. Okay, a few case studies and something I want to mention about the rafter attached to splices. This is very important because all railless systems basically require you to use splices. We don't require it. We have other ways of installing, but it is the most popular way to use it. This is an image from our estimator. And this image shows regular attachments as well as splice attachments, all of our components, all the options. This one specifically is a 4-foot span of connected on rafter and floating splices. Bonding path built into all of this. So we have redundant bonding paths. You can actually remove a module and still have a complete bonding path. Okay, when choosing to use a splice, it's very important to note if your panel is good for corner clamping or not, because you will absolutely need that. Right now, there's very few modules that support a floating splice, particularly Solaria and Canadian Solar specifically mentioned it in their manual. So that's really cool. This is that same thing. Quick case study on this. What if you come across a module that doesn't allow for corner clamping? This particular module did not. So cool thing about this job, we're able to do that without corner clamping, as well as do it on 2 different slopes on 2 different types of roofing, rolled roofing and architectural shingles, all with the same flashing. Some people ask how we do offset. Here's a good example of how you do offset. You can also incorporate the also incorporate the splice with that as well. That job in particular was a 30-pound snow load that we did on decking. That's another question we get when you're doing decking connections. What are your maximum for snow loads? And the answer is we go up to 90 pounds, just a matter of how close those connections are going to be. This is just a quick equation on how we do deck and rafter hybrids. You take the deck number, the rafter number, combine them together to get your hybrid number. We have calculators for that, so you don't have to worry about that math. We have PE stamps for 47 states and the majority of the provinces in Canada. Those are all pre-engineered. You can take right to your building department. We have an online estimator. That online estimator is completely accessible by anyone. You just have to register, and it gives you the step-by-step on how to build your product and the criteria you need for it. It spits out your design layout with your bill of material that you can take to your distributor or directly purchase from our website. Those are mainly for homeowners. And also comes with your engineering report. Also, take it right to your building department. Now, this is cool for the rooftop guys that are out there. You got to make last minute changes on your design plans. We have a maximum span calculator. Someone can pull it up on their phone, choose the product they're using, fill all the job variables, and it'll tell them their deck attachment, span, the rafter, the hybrid, and the offset. Very cool to use, especially when you're trying to get those designs changed on the roof. Okay, a little bit about our sales team. We break the country down into 5 regions, and here's our current sales team. All of these guys are your sales guys, your trainers, your tech guys. All of these guys are experts on the product. What's not shown here is Guy, our Midwest person. He is actually Canada as well. So if you find yourself in this region, this is the guy you want to talk to start to finish. We're not going to send you to a tech guy. He is your tech guy. Okay. So a few other things that we offer here, on-site training, especially for railless. We know it's a hard thing to convert to. So we want to be there for you as you transition over to railless. We want to support you and make sure you know what you're doing. We offer that program for free. We just ask that you continue to use the product for at least 3 or 4 more jobs so you get an actual good exposure to the product and then decide if you want to use it. We also do these road shows where Guy, where Joe, myself, anyone on our team will actually build this unit, come out to your shop and do a training. Right now, the guys are currently in Colorado and in the Virginias, maybe the Carolinas. But I got 2 road shows going right now, and these guys are going door to door or visiting our distributors and setting up trainings. Very cool. Reach out to us if you want to set one up. So on top of all that training and technical support, we also offer some co-marketing, some co-branded support to make sure that we can help you take our advantages, the reason why you chose RoofTech, and help you explain that to the homeowner, your customer, on why you chose us and how it's going to be better for them. That's huge. So design training, install training, a warehouse training, because it's a lot of new parts for your warehouse to work with. We offer all of that. A little bit about logistics and warehouse, as I mentioned before. This is a big reason to switch to railless. We overall have about 60% less in shipping and warehouse costs than your rails. And that's nationally speaking. Also, too, our largest pallet is going to be 84 by 44 by 44, pretty substantial compared to some of the large equipment that you would normally have to carry. All right, getting down to the end here, warranty. I'm going to slow down a little bit for this. This one's important. So warranty, couple of common questions. Does your warranty cover leaks? Yes, it does. It's amazing, right? No one else is really going to say that. But if our product fails from us, meaning it has the alpha seal didn't function, or the extrusion caused something, or our screws caused something, we are responsible for that product, and we will cover the cost related to that product failure. Second question, not on here. Has that happened yet? Absolutely not. So that's why we include it in our warranty, because we know of our product's ability. It's not a question for us. Why isn't it, what isn't covered for 25 years? The only thing that's not covered for 25 years is the actual coating, the black coating. It may anodize or it may fade after about 5 to 10 years. We're actually running a pretty good track record on this, even on full sun exposure. They typically hold up for 12 plus, but that's the only thing that we're not gonna like fully replace your system for because of the fading. It's a non-structural, non-leak related deal. How can I void the warranty? Question unfortunately gets asked a lot. So there's a few main reasons on how this is done. Number one, not using all of our components. We've actually had some people try to use an outside butyl from a like Home Depot. This will totally cause a failure. Don't do that. It's not the same quality. It's not the same stuff. Secondly, not using our screws. We specifically tested and designed our screws to work with our product. We have people that choose not to use our screws. Will that totally mean that it's going to leak? No, but if it does, we're not going to be able to support you. So that's something I always recommend. Use our stuff. It was a reason why we did it. All right, lastly, does it cover workmanship? The answer is no. I wish it could, but what we do is we make sure that we make the product so easy to use, you have to go out of your way to mess it up. So that's how our warranty stands out more than anyone else's warranty. One last thing on warranty. We are about ready to change the game again and come out with a new warranty program that is unheard of in the racking industry. And that announcement is coming in September. And I highly encourage you guys to set meetings with us so that we can explain to you our new program, because it is rolling out on a limited amount for 2022. And then we're going to open it up to the world in 2023. We're really excited about it, but you got to set meetings with us so that we can tell you directly and be part of that limited rollout in 2022. This is just a picture we've been using since 2012. None of those goldfish died. They lived happy lives through our previous GM's children. But this just goes to show, we're very confident about our product. All right, thanks.
Yeah, this is a fantastic product, and we're really excited to offer it. We're constantly looking for ways to help our customers reduce waste on job sites, and this can really play a role in eliminating a lot of that.
Absolutely.
So, fantastic job designing this product. We're really excited to be able to offer it.
Us too.
I wanted to start off with what differentiates your product from others. So, if we were to boil down the, last 45 minutes of slides into a couple of maybe 3 differentiating points that you would want everyone to walk away with, what would those be?
Okay. So number one, and I probably can't actually categorize them into numbers, but here's the big picture, guys, is that even though it may seem right now that there's this big change from metal flashings to on the top flashings, you're right. This is a big change been happening in the past couple of years. The difference that we have is that we've been doing the same thing since 1994. You may have noticed some of these other manufacturers coming out with what they think is a good design, and then within the next year or two coming out with a different design, even sometimes a different method of flashing. That's because they're figuring it out, which we are happy and supportive. If it was up to RoofTech, we encourage everyone to do a top-down flashing, but we also encourage them to do it with proper testing, making sure that their solution works, and that is not being tested in the field. So that's our major differentiator. We are not coming out with a new product. It's something we've been doing since the beginning. But other than that, it's similar with the no caulking, no pre-drill. Well, I guess not everyone can say that, but there are similarities. That's the number one differentiator, our field experience and our testing. What sets RoofTech apart is the flashing and our experience. But when it comes to our railless, there's really no one that can argue that we give the most diversible way to install with railless. You don't have to use splices specifically, which voids a lot of module warranties. You can use it on a 4-point connection, just like you would with rail. So there's no one out there that offers the amount of diversibility of install type, as well as the amount of roofs that can be used with our system. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I think that feeds nicely into the next question. Um, how were you able to accomplish that ability to work with so many different roof types? Another way of asking this is like, what's the difference between the butyl that y'all offer versus, say, the butyl that you could get from Home Depot? Why is it that your product won't work with that other more readily available technology?
Gotcha. That's a good question. Okay, so in the early 90s, the R&D team, and mind you, I'm getting this secondhand. Obviously, I wasn't there. But in the early 90s, how it was explained to me is that the team was figuring out like what is going to work on the majority of roofs in Japan, but yet also work on the roofs that aren't necessarily in Japan. So like they don't have a lot of asphalt, but they were still planning on that. So they looked at the automotive industry, they looked at the telecom industry, and they saw that these butyl copolymers were being used everywhere in extreme environments. You're talking on the top of high-rise poles for telecom, in engine blocks or in engine compartments. So you're talking high heat, UV, wind exposure, rain, all that stuff. So they chose a mixture of isoprene and butyl isoprene and put them together at the right combination to get the maximum waterproofing, hydrophobic, as well as the maximum temperature ranges and compatibility. Remember, I said earlier that the only non-compatible product of our particular butyl copolymer mix, our Alpha Seal, is PVC. That's the only thing. Now, when you look at Home Depot, I keep saying Home Depot, but let's just say store readily available butyl. The number one thing you're going to notice right first is thickness. The thickness is a huge thing. Secondly, the quality. You might be looking at a non-copolymer, just a straight up butyl mix of just rubber, manufactured rubber. So by combining our products with these inferior products, you're actually causing our product not to perform as well as it could perform. So that's the number one reason not to mix anything. Secondly, these products were not meant for full exposure for a long period of time. Most of the butyl that's readily available in the market is actually meant to be covered by something else. Your door and window seams, some of your underneath flashings. Now, there are some products out there regarding flat roofs where you're taking an EPDM and you're wrapping it around a chimney. There's a lot of butyl-based flashings there that are designed to last a long time. But when we tested those products in the 90s, their lifespans were not as good as what we found that were being used in the telecom and the engine blocks and all that kind of stuff. So it ultimately came down to the right mix, the right thickness, and really the right mix. So that's why it's not just an apples to apples comparison.
Right. You have that trust that it's going to last that full 25-year life that it needs to support those modules for as long as they're going to be up there.
As long as they're going to be up there.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. Great. Let's see here. So there are a few questions about the warranty, and let's see. One of them is like how does that warranty for leaks and protection against leak damage work, and do you have any resources for describing that to homeowners in a way that's going to make sense and really differentiate the product from others?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So let's focus on that on two-part, contractor and homeowner. So for the contractor, all of our warranty is provided to the contractor. Everything goes through the contractor. So even if you did have an incident, that homeowner may somehow call us directly, and then we would actually say, no, our warranty is with the contractor. Everything's got to go through the contractor. So we give the contractor the first evaluation rights to be able to like, hey, go determine what you think happened here on the job site. And if you really feel it's related to RoofTech, let us know. Provide us pictures, a water test, kind of prove that it's RoofTech before I go out there. And if there's any question, I go out there. And in fact, I have visited every possible leak in the United States since 2016. And there's only really about 1 or 2 a year. But I go and I check to see what happened and why. And then I relate that back to the customer, the contractor, and we figure out a solution. None of these have been related to product failure. Unfortunately, they're all workmanship based. So we handle in that manner. But that warranty is there. Theoretically, if I go out there and I see, hey, there's something wrong with this batch of Alpha Seal, we got to fix it. We're going to step in at that point, and we're going to be able to take care of everything through the insurance companies at no cost to you guys. That's what we offer. Now, for the homeowner, we have nice co-branded things that we can have your company name, our company name, given to the homeowner and explaining how that warranty process works. Now, that's how it currently works today. As I mentioned, we have a big announcement coming in September. That is going to change a little bit, and it's even going to be better, which is kind of hard to imagine, but we want to make sure that everyone that uses our product is going to be able to say, for sure, 100%, you are covered no matter what. So yeah, so more details on that. You got to meet with us in September, and I can explain that, but that's how it works right now.
Very exciting. All right. I look forward to hearing more. It sounds like at RE Plus. Okay. And last question here. So is RoofTech generally accepted in all installation jurisdictions? Are there any notes that folks should have as they're working with AHJs that maybe are less familiar with the product?
Sure. So full story answer here. So in 2016, a lot of problems. Something brand new. We were the only guys doing it. AHJs all the time, like, hey, what is this? You have to explain it to us. But because of all of our certifications and testings, and especially the ICC, open shut case in most of these instances. Now, as we've seen more people come out with the top-down flashings in the past couple of years, that has all gone away. We do not get calls from AHJs anymore. Most of them are very familiar with the product. But for example, if they're not, we have wide open access to all of our documents on our website, as well as you can connect them with any salesperson to have that conversation. Now, there's one place I will say, when you're talking, and it's not an AHJ, it's actually a funding organization. Blank-minded right now, Oregon, Energy Trust of Oregon. The Energy Trust of Oregon is still looking at some older roofing recommendations about specific sizes of metal flashing. So technically, if you want the ETO to fund your project, you can't use anything but a very specific size of metal. That being said, we do a lot of business in Oregon. We do a lot of business in Washington. So people are making those decisions to avoid that funding, but that's your own personal call and the only area to where you would get any kind of kickback.
Okay. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today and teaching us more about RoofTech and Alpha Seal. We're really excited to begin offering this product more widely to our customers. Before we acquired the solar energy division of Beacon Roofing, that team was working with RoofTech quite a bit already. So what we're talking about now is kind of the expansion of that partnership. RoofTech is available on our web store now, so folks who are curious and interested in trying the product with a small order or on a couple of jobs can go ahead and place orders through the web store to get started, and reach out to our sales team if you have any questions about the products. We'll either put you in touch with RoofTech or go ahead.
Sorry, one last thing. So I may have not mentioned this, but we do offer free demos for people who are interested in railless. So that is available through Aaron's team at BayWa. I know it's a big jump from go to railless, so we try to make it super easy. And BayWa will be a part of that program that allows for those free demos with training.
Awesome. So contact us for your free demo kits, and we'll be excited to help you learn more about RoofTech. I want to thank Mike again and his team for sharing with us today and telling us more about the Alpha Seal product and the Alpha Seal product and the RoofTech line more broadly. If you don't already have a BayWa account manager, go ahead and click on the register button on our web store, and we'll be in touch. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye.